Welcome to the IFRC General Assembly, which is starting today in Geneva. In today's session of our Red Vest Lives, we will be focusing on the humanitarian situation in Ukraine. 2 years since the escalation of the international armed conflict in Ukraine, the devastation continues to affect every aspect of people's lives. Many of the millions who fled are unable to return, and those who remain face dire conditions with limited access to water, heat, healthcare, and other essential services. To discuss in depth the situation in Ukraine and neighboring countries, I have the pleasure to be joined today by Maxim Dotsenko, the Director General of Ukrainian Red Cross, Magdalena Stevenska, the Head of International Cooperation at the Polish Red Cross, and Karol Szukan, the Secretary General of the Czech Red Cross. Thank you very much for being with us today. Maxim, I'm going to start with you. More than 2 years and a half into this conflict, can you please tell us what is the humanitarian situation in Ukraine?
Yeah, thank you for inviting, first of all. Happy to be here with you and to share a bit of information about the Ukrainian situation. But what is unfortunate for us, definitely, that the situation is not changing, to be honest. Despite the interest is going down, yes, all around Europe, all around the world. But the needs are still growing, yes, and the situation more or less the same as it was 2 years and a half before, yes. So the range of needs are quite broad. We still have even the processes of evacuation from Sumy and Kharkiv regions here because of offensive or defensive operations on the battlefield. But at the same time, we have to remember that still more than 3 million people is IDPs, internally displaced in Ukraine, and more than 6 million Ukrainians are outside of Ukraine. So all these people need support, and thanks to our partners, to the movement, we are able to support them outside of Ukraine, and of course with all the support we're receiving from our partners, we can be much more effective in Ukraine. And as I said, that the needs are from the essential in the west and the south to more difficult, more expensive, more more complex in terms of rehabilitation, health support, social service development. And still in Ukraine, the natural disasters happening, civil protection is in our focus, and of course a lot around providing the relevant conditions to IDPs and local communities also. So this is all about the more complex approach. It's not easy. It's we can definitely be proud that we distribute 12.3 million food and hygiene kits during the first year. But now the needs going further. It's more structural, it's more complex. It's about providing the services. It's about really making the services closer to the people and supporting all these spheres of our work.
And actually linking as well to those needs, as Ukraine's power infrastructure is frequently being hit, how can Ukrainian Red Cross help people to stay warm during the coming winter?
This is a very painful question for us this winter, yes, because last winter was more or less okay for us. Now you know that around 80% of power plants in Ukraine, like coal power plants, are destroyed or damaged. Around 45, if I'm not mistaken, percent of hydro electricity stations are damaged. So we start winterization, designing the winterization strategy in June this year, yes. And then now it's quite comprehensive document which cover all the aspects of support which we can provide. Yeah. So here the same, including building more resilient communities, providing different solutions in terms of heating, in terms of electricity, including and work with state emergency service, with the government in creating more safe space for the people.
Thank you. As you mentioned, in parallel to the ongoing conflict, reconstruction and recovery is already underway in many parts of Ukraine. How is the Ukrainian Red Cross supporting these efforts?
it's never-ending story for us, like when to start reconstruction, during the war, after the war, but what is for the people after the war. Yeah, so like we live in war like 2.5 years, 31 months to be honest. Yes, and for us reconstruction starts from the first days, to be honest. Yeah, we focusing definitely on reconstruction on the social, educational, and medical infrastructure, because more than 1,400 medical institutions are destroyed or damaged in Ukraine. So, and this is our main focus. And the same, what is infrastructure, what is understanding of recovery and reconstruction for Ukraine? For us, this is building resilient communities. For us, this is building the strong, sustainable, with a good quality services in social sphere and health sphere. So, and here we work in auxiliary to the government, together with our government, in building all these systems.
Thank you so much, Maxime. Thank you for all the work. Thank you to staff and volunteers as well at Ukraine Red Cross. They're doing a fantastic job. Thank you. So now I'm going to turn to you, Magdalena. Thanks again for being with us. My question is, what are the main challenges of people who fled to your country from the armed conflict in Ukraine?
Thank you very much for having me here with colleagues. First of all, I think that it's a huge uncertainty. So people who decided to come to Poland, they don't know for how long they will stay in the country, what kind of support they can receive here, how far they can rely on Poland as the host country, and what kind of activities for their mental health support they can also be provided. They are not sure what will be their future and whether and if they will be able to get back to Ukraine. Some of those lost their houses, safe space for living. So actually it's a huge mental health damage, I would say, for many of them. Some of those lost contacts with their family members, and they don't know how to communicate with them, how to contact back with them if they are still alive. So actually, apart from all these, I would say, material aspects of being in the move, and losing the ability to stay in their safe homes, it's these mental aspects very difficult and challenging for them.
And how is your national society supporting them?
What the Polish Red Cross decided to implement from the very beginning of this crisis situation was a very complex approach covering several key programs and initiatives dedicated to migrants. First of all, we have a huge relief aid program, which is focusing on distribution of different in-kind donations, food, non-food items, equipment for the temporary shelters, conditional cash for shelter, medical vouchers, cash just to buy very basic products for their households. But also what we are focusing on is an integration to our local communities, to allow migrants from Ukraine to feel like in home in Poland, and therefore we open several integration centers in the Polish Red Cross. We offer different forms of activities, integration for seniors, for children, livelihoods programs, so vocational trainings or language courses for those who want to be activated in the labor market and start their professional career in Poland. We have also a mental health support program for those who need professional assistance of doctors, psychologists or psychiatrists, and restoring family links. Of course, all these activities would not be possible to such a huge scale that Maxime also mentioned if not the contribution of movement partners,
Yes.
so sister national societies, ICRC, IFRC, who are also working with us hand by hand. But we also collaborate between each other, and the network is really very efficient. So we contact on the regular basis and actually communicate on the most urgent needs to be able to provide the assistance, which is really to the point in the momentum that we are facing now.
Yeah, that's true. Stronger together. Thank you very much, and thanks again for all the work you do, and as well staff and volunteers as well at the Polish Red Cross. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So now, Carol, I'm turning to you. So, do you know anyone from Ukraine who became a staff or volunteer of your national society?
Thank you for having us. Actually, it's a very important topic, even 31 months after the escalation. We employ some Ukrainian refugees in the Restory Family Links, even as a national society. And I know that in some local branches, the people who fled from the war are helping with the services that we provide to the communities that are affected and they're fled to Czech Republic. So there are several. I don't know them personally, but I know that they are becoming quite integral part of our volunteer membership force, especially with the language skills and with the understanding of the mentality of the people who fled from the war. I think it's very useful that we try to integrate them in our ranks.
Yeah, thank you. Well, my other question is linked as well to integration. What are the long-term prospects of integrating refugees into the local community?
I think this is a very tricky question in a way that on one hand it should be our aim to ensure that everyone who fled from war will feel as good and as welcome and be able to fulfill their potential, maybe even see it as an opportunity how to become, better in whatever they want to do. At the same time, I'm looking at Maxim and knowing that 6 million people fled the country. It's a huge part of the population, and I wish, and we all should wish, that they can come home to Ukraine as soon as possible to a peaceful life, to develop their country. So on one hand, we will be doing our best to integrate, and even we have some programs for example, for families with children with disabilities. Magda was mentioning some psychosocial support programs, but at the same time, I think we should really try to look forward how to then reintegrate them back into the Ukraine once the war is over, which I hope will be soon.
And do you see challenges of integrating them? And if this is the case, how can the Red Cross help overcome those challenges?
There is definitely a fatigue in the host population, which is understandable. There was enthusiasm, not in a way that, there is something happening, but we will welcome you. But now, 2.5 years later, people get a little bit tired because it's still omnipresent as a non-solved problem. These people cannot integrate 100%. There will be always a little bit of language and maybe educational barrier. And so fatigue is one of the challenges. And the other is that you should really set the mechanisms and procedures in a way, do you want to keep them for forever, or you really want to just temporarily provide them some quality life? And this is a very difficult decision making that everybody, even in the state departments, have to do. The Red Cross, I think as a movement, we should highlight that there is a need to provide as many potential and opportunities for these people to integrate without compromising their ability to return.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you again, and thanks to National Society for all the great work as well you've been doing. Thank you, Maxime, Magdalena, Carol, for being with us this morning and for sharing your insight on the humanitarian situation in Ukraine and neighboring countries and highlighting the great work of national societies. Thank you so much. Stay tuned, as you will hear more from special guests throughout the Red Cross and Red Crescent statutory meetings on different range of humanitarian issues. Thank you.